Welcome back to the Cat Knit Podcast. My name is Grace, and today is Friday 27th, and I realize I'm not holding my cup of tea, so we're gonna fix that because that is a necessity in this podcast. I'm holding my cup of tea. Yes, now I'm doing that. This is a podcast about knitting and sometimes spinning and crafting and just happy things, books, baking, and cats. And whatever I think is fun to talk about. So that is this kind of a podcast if you're interested in that. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for trying out this podcast. I really appreciate it. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and spending some time with me. Like always, all the things that I will be talking about will be linked in the show notes that can be found on my blog. If you are on YouTube, that'll be linked down below. And I have all of my various social medias that you can follow me on. There's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Ravelry. I am most active on Instagram by far. There's also a Ravelry podcast group that you can go and join, but I am terrible at posting at, but it is still there if you would like to join. If you go to Ravelry and click on the groups tab and then search the Cat Knit Podcast, it will pop up. And then there's also an online yarn store where you can buy some yarn that I have hand dyed, and that is the catknityarns.bigcartel.com. And yes, it is cold this morning. It is 50 degrees and it's amazing. I love it, which is why I'm wearing a hat. So that makes me very happy. It's starting up to be a very good day. It's also very early in the morning, but that's okay because you do what you gotta do to get the podcast out. That's always important. This very light knitting week this week, which I do apologize, but again, you do what you gotta do. It'll be fine. No big deal. So with that, also I have very limited space on my SD card today, so we're gonna try and go through things quickly so I don't have to empty it midway because I have a schedule that I need to keep to. Anyway, enough rambling. So if you would like to grab something tasty to drink, whether it be hot or cold or a snack or whatever craftiness, if you'd like to craft, and come back and join me for some crafty chat. So to start off this week, what am I wearing? I am wearing a hat that is very special to me, though I have not worn it very much. The fact that I haven't worn it very much is no example of how much I like this hat. Due to hat hair, I will just show it to you this way, but look at those amazing cables. As you can see, the cables here. So this is the hat pattern called Earl Grey by Claire Devine, and I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. She has so many wonderful hat patterns. I want to knit them all. I think they're amazing and they're super fun. And the yarn is from a yarn store, a wonderful yarn store in Edinburgh called Ginger's. I now can't remember the name of it. It has ginger in the name of it, I believe, and there's a cat, and I have a tote bag of it somewhere. I don't know where, but I will be linked in the show notes, so don't worry. But the owner, she dyes some of her own yarns. My mom and I visited this yarn store after I had done my 10 weeks in France after my study abroad, and we spent a week traveling and doing fun things like yarn store stuff, and we got to meet the owner. It was like probably one of my most favorite days of the entire trip, just because we did lots of touristy stuff. We walked around everywhere. We ended up on some random hill and then found a random tea shop, and it was so much fun. And then I knit this hat on the train to London afterwards. So I have a lot of happy memories with this hat. I would knit another one in a heartbeat. It's an Aran weight yarn and pattern, so it knits up very quickly. It was so wonderful. So I highly, highly recommend this pattern and any other of Claire Devine's patterns because I'm pretty sure they're awesome. So highly, highly recommend. So my first work in progress, because this is done, is very fiddly right now because there's bells of yarn everywhere and I don't know where to put them to show you. And I don't know, that needs to go over there. I do apologize, I'm not prepared. So yes, this is a cowl. This is the Sucker Punch cowl, which Oh my goodness. How amazing is that? That is truly amazing. This is by Jess Knowles. It is paid for pattern on Ravelry. It is gorgeous and beautiful, and so I have all this color work on the inside, as you can see, and then I'll be covering that up and connecting ends and making it one large tube of goodness. I am so excited. The yarns that I'm using for my base color, I'm using a leftover skein from something I don't remember what, of Cascade Eco Wool, which that is very accurate to the color, so that's good. That is one plus about filming in the morning, is that the lighting is usually really amazing and I get the most accurate colors, so that is a plus. And then this is what I'm using for the contrasting color. As you can see, I don't have very much left, so I'm gonna have to make it work. But that is Noro Curion, and as you can see, I've gone through all these colors and I have this much left. So I have at least 4 or 5 more repeats of the little chevron, and I will definitely not get 4 or 5 out of this. So I think, I say this, I did not pull it out beforehand, but I'm going to do it now because it's right here. But I have more Curion. I have this bit. I think that would be fun. That would go well, I think. Because there's blue down there, and I can just use this for, because this is a half-used skein anyway, so. See, this is reasons why everyone needs a very large stash, because if you need a couple extra rows in your color work, you have stuff to go pull from. It's amazing. I couldn't recommend it enough, although storage can also be a problem. This looks neat and tidy, but over there is not neat and tidy, so there's more yarn over there that you can't see. But anyway, so stash is always good. This is also Noro Curion. Don't know the color number, but yes, I will do my best to get that in the show notes. So anyway, I'm hoping to get this done sometime soon. I don't have any like goal of getting it done by, but I am enjoying knitting it. It is very easy. The color work is so amazing. It's like super easy to memorize, which I really like about it. Last week I mentioned that this pattern uses a color work technique, I guess, or whatever, called color dominance, and I didn't know what that was at the time, or I didn't know how to explain it, and then I found a wonderful article by Isolde that I left in the show notes of last week's podcast. So if you haven't read that, I do recommend going and reading it because it is very interesting. But literally all it is just like you have a lot of one color, like say you have a lot of like the base color, and then once you introduce, if you have like 1 or 2 stitches of the other color, it makes the contrasting color pop, and vice versa. So you have, if you have a lot of the contrasting color and you put 1 or 2 stitches of the plain color, it'll pop. Does that make sense? I don't know if I explained that correctly, but it's super fun, it's super easy. I don't have to look at the pattern. I don't think I'll need to look at the pattern unless I need to remember how long I need to knit for, but that's really not that hard because it's just an inch count. But yes, I highly recommend this pattern if you are looking into like starting color work, or you've never done color work before, or you have done a little bit and you just want to keep on trying it. This is a great pattern. This is a great, very easy beginning pattern. One of the, it's not complicated necessarily, but I do find it's not like a beginning skill, I would say, necessarily. I don't know if that made sense, but we're gonna just keep on going. There is a provisional cast on. This row of pink up at the top will not be there, but so if you are like a beginning knitter and you don't know how to do provisional cast on, it's also a good time to learn, but it is kind of challenging. That being said, there are lots of great videos and articles and stuff online that I highly recommend. I think the Pearl Bee has a really great one. I don't remember. Anyway, so yeah, provisional cast on, that's what you need to know. Color work, super easy. Highly recommend. Sucker Punch. So much fun. Okay, so we're moving on to item number 2. And this is living in my, because I have so many skeins of yarn to go along with this, is living in my Stephen and Penelope bag. So much fun. Also, I will say, this doesn't have to do with yarn, but I have the balcony doors open and I have the windows open and it is like cold. It's so nice. I love it. Usually when I podcast, I get really hot because there's not a whole lot of like airflow in this room. But I'm not hot today. It is so nice. Anyway, let's living in this bag. We'll get back to the topic on hand. This is my fade, everybody. I have made a lot of progress on my fade, and oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I actually showed this to you. I don't remember what kind of progress I had last time I showed this to you because I think I've moved my progress keeper. This is all tangled up. This is not good. We need to fix this so I can show it to you. I do apologize. So yes, last time I talked to you, I think I was fading the 2 colors, and I was definitely going to run out of the purple, the one I just finished. So I didn't do as many lace repeats as I needed to, or as the pattern called for, but because I wanted to get the good amount of fade, I decided to stop the lace early and made sure I had enough fade. So that's what I did, and I did in fact run out of yarn. I only had 1 row of fade, but at least I got something. Again, it's my own fault for picking less than half used skeins. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. Skeins that have been basically used up. There was not very much left in the skein. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I'm just rambling, but so as you can see, I got 1 row of the purple there. But then I started on this other color, and oh my goodness, it makes me so happy. It's so beautiful. And like, yes, not to toot my own horn, but this is some of my yarn that I dyed, and I just really love how it's knitting up. It's just so beautiful. And so yeah, now I'm just doing the bazillions and bazillions of garter stitch rows, which is really not that long, but this is a funny pose, a funny picture. Thumbnail. But, so yes, if I did not say, I don't think I've said, this is Find Your Fade by Andrea Mowry. This is one of the patterns that has taken the knitting internet by storm. Basically everyone has made one. Not everyone, I will say that. Not everyone has made one, and that's super cool. I know some people just, it didn't float their boat, so that's also super cool. But this is my fade so far. I am super happy with this. Once I started this new color, my own color, it kind of blew my mind. It wasn't, that's a bit extreme. It didn't blow my mind, but I was just like, oh, those colors together. I love it so much. Fading from the pink to the pink to the purple, and now the bluey purple, and what it's gonna fade into. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what it is. This is like, I'm very excited to wear this. I don't wear a whole lot of like pinky stuff. That being said, the Sucker Punch cowl does have pink in it, but I don't wear like masses, like big blocks of pink, I guess. I say that, and I also do have pink sweaters. You know what I mean? I don't wear pink that often. And so this is just really fun. And again, I will say this is also special to me because I knit this on my wedding day. I have pictures of it in my wedding dress, and it's super special. Like, I remember knitting on it. It's one of those memories that I do have of the wedding day, so it's just like you can't frog it. You gotta finish it. Plus I really want to wear it, and I know it's gonna be huge, and it's just so much fun. And I love it, and I love all the colors, and I love the colors I'm going to be fading into. So, Find Your Fade by Andrea Mowry. I don't think I have all the yarns listed on my project page, but I really do need to do that. I am just putting it off because I don't remember some of the colorway names. That is my own fault. I do apologize, but that is something that is on my to-do list, so I will hopefully get that done. But either way, the general project pages and general pattern pages will be linked in the show notes, so do not worry. I love this. So much fun. Good reading and knitting for sure. Good, good, good. So what I'm about to show you next, I don't remember the last time I knit on this item, but it was laying on the floor with some of my other languishing whips, and for some reason I was just very inspired and motivated to talk about it and then also to knit upon it. So I actually haven't knit on it yet, but I just really want to show it to you guys. I don't think I've ever shown this to you. This is a very, very old work in progress. This is the honey cowl. Ooh, I don't know who designed that. It'll be linked in the show notes. It's very like another pattern that everyone has made one of. Excuse me. It's like this linen-y stitch cowl. It is gorgeous. How beautiful is this yarn? Like, can you just even? Oh my goodness. Like, this yarn is just so beautiful and like goldeny fall goodness, and like, I have no idea what this colorway name is. Because this is a hand wound ball, and goodness knows where the ball band is. I don't know. I do know that this is Madeline Tosh Merino Light. That is the only thing I know. I feel like it's something like Dandelion or Fool's Gold, maybe? Do they have a colorway named that? I know Hedgehog Fibers has Fool's Gold, but I just don't know. Anyway, it's like the most, that's super, very accurate. It's so beautiful. So yeah, I have no idea what I cast this on. I have no idea when I'm going to be casting this off. But it's just beautiful. So this is like the one side. Also, I have an old Harry Potter stitch marker. Like, how cool is that? What am I trying to do? Let's just show him. There we go. Hello. So cute. Again, I don't know where he came from. This is like such an old pattern project, whatever. So we have the linen stitch on this side with all the beautiful slip stitches, and then on the other side we have all this beautiful bumpiness. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love it. It's gorgeous. And I think I was just really inspired by the fall colors, and that's why I picked it up, and it's just so good. It is a free pattern. Like I said, I don't remember who designed it. I do apologize. It'll be linked in the show notes. But it's a very easy pattern. It's literally just like linen stitch around and around and around. So I might make this like a see how I do with it in regards to reading. Can I do it without looking at it? All that kind of stuff. Because then we do have road trips coming up, and gotta have those projects that you can work on in the dark potentially. So highly recommend. I highly recommend all these patterns. Today it's a very highly recommended episode. The honey cowl by I don't know who. I do apologize, but the honey cowl. And there's a car driving by. I do apologize. But it's a great pattern, super easy. It's very adaptable to different like weights and needle sizes. You can pretty much take it and do whatever you want with it, which is very fun. So it's a sign of a good pattern for sure. Highly recommend. So I do have a book that I finished this week. It was very good. I did enjoy it. Was it my absolute favorite book of all time? Probably not, but it was a good book and I do recommend it. What is this book, you might ask? Let's stop talking about how amazing it was and tell you what the name is. It is The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest, and it is very, very good. I highly recommend it, as I've said many times before, so let's get into discussing why. It is kind of like a fairy tale romance book, kind of ish. It's not fantasy because there's no magic, but it is like a fairy tale because it's a mixture of Robin Hood and Swan Lake, which is a very interesting combination of fairy tales. It's interesting how they're put together, how the stories are combined. It was a very good book. I did enjoy it. Once I got started, it was kind of a slow start for me anyway. I don't know about other people, but for me it was kind of a slow start. So once I got started, it was really good. I sped through it. It's not super long either. It wasn't like, I don't know what's gonna happen. It just makes me keep on guessing type of book. I kind of like knew what was gonna happen, but that's super fine. That's okay. I did enjoy reading it. So, it is a good book. Fairy tale, goodness. Yeah, I highly recommend it. So it's The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest by Melanie Dickerson. So yay. And yes, I did do my job this week in regards to the books anyway, and I looked it up beforehand to make sure I knew the title and the author name. So yay me. I did do that. So yeah, that's the only book that I've read. I am currently listening to the last book of the Princess Diaries series, and in my personal opinion, it's not as good as the rest of them, but that's okay. It is what it is. I do want to like find out what happens, but it's not as enjoyable as the other one, so I feel like you could stop at the second to last one, whichever number that was. So that's just my personal opinion though. If you enjoyed the last one, that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed it, but it's just not my favorite, but I do want to see what happens, so gotta power through it. Another book that I'm rereading or listening, I'm technically listening to it, but this is the second time that I've gone through the story. The first time I went through the story, or I read it, take the terminology, shall we? First time I read it, was when I was in high school at some point. I don't remember when it was exactly. It was a long time ago. But it's called Wildwood Dancing by Juliet Marillier. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the last name correctly, but I think I am. It is so good. I loved it the first time. I'm loving it the second time. It's really, really amazing. This is like a fantasy fairy tale type book about like the 12 dancing princesses, but a little bit with the twist. I guess it's another combination of fairy tales. It's the 12 dancing princesses and the frog prince. Kind of. A little. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but it's a really, really good book. I highly recommend it. And then there's a second one that I don't think necessarily has to do with the same like group of people, called Sibyl's Secret, which is more like mermaidy type story things. Great wording. Yay. I've read that one as well, but that was also a long time ago, so I'll probably be reading that one as well again. I am super excited. So yes, in regards to like actually reading with my eyes instead of listening, reading, I will be finding a new book to read with my eyes soon. So yeah, it has been kind of crazy this week with the major weather changes. Yesterday the high was 87, today the high is 55. So we had a major cold front come through, and because of that, at the beginning of this week, I had really bad weather headaches. So I didn't really get a whole lot done at the beginning of the week, and reading was very limited because my head hurt. So it is what it is. the cold front finally pushed through, so it's all good. But we do have more crazy weather coming, like highs of high 70s, and then the next day is like a low of mid 50s, and it's like, can we just get our act together, Texas, and figure out what you want to do with the weather? But I'm not in control of the weather, so I can't tell it what to do, but I can tell it what I'd like it to do. But oh well. Enough about the weather. I didn't do any baking this week, because like I said, I had headaches and it was just too busy this week. But I did find a recipe for these incredible looking pumpkin bars that I really, really, really want to make. I will definitely link them in the show notes for sure. It's a blog that recently started. It's not necessarily like a food blog, but it's more like a lifestyle, family, fashion, music type blog. I follow these girls on YouTube because they sing and they're incredible musicians and all that kind of stuff, but they started a blog for their family, and this recipe is like one of their mothers that they make regularly, and it's like their favorite or something like that. It looks super easy. It has like Bisquick in it. It has like the pumpkin. I don't know if it's like the pumpkin puree or if it's like pumpkin pie filling. It's one of those two. And then it also has mini chocolate chips in it, which is like, they're chocolate chips, but they're also mini, and that's super cool. So that's delicious. And then the icing on top looks so beautiful and so good. It's like the best looking cream cheese frosting ever. And like their pictures are beautiful, so that's also very inspiring, but I'm sure it tastes heavenly. So I'm looking forward to making those at some point soon, because they just sound so good. I'm very excited to make them, and once I make them I'll let you know how they turn out. But in the meantime, I will definitely leave the link in the show notes so you can go and try them out yourself. So I think that might be it for this week. I'm sorry it's so short this week. It's just been crazy, but I do apologize. Next week we'll be traveling on Friday, or actually I won't even be here on Friday, so I'm gonna figure out the podcasting schedule. There may or may not be an episode next week, but so if there's not, I do apologize, but there might be one. I might make it work. I don't know, we'll figure it out. So that's happening. But here's this week's episode. And if you haven't seen older ones, you can go back and watch other ones if there's no episode next week, so that's a plus. So to review all the normal things, like always, and like I said at the beginning of the episode, you can find all the links to the things that I talked about on my blog in the show notes. And if you're not on my blog and you're on YouTube, that'll be linked down below. All my various social medias will also be linked in both places. There's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Ravelry. I'm most active on Instagram, and I've been tweeting more on Twitter, so if you're interested in tweets, you can go follow me over there. There's also a Ravelry podcast group that you can go and join, but I'm very bad at posting it. But it is there if you'd like it. If you go to Ravelry and click on the groups tab and search the Catnip Podcast, it will pop up. And then there's also a online yarn store where you can buy some yarn that I've hand dyed, and that is the Catnip Yarn Stub, BigCartel.com. So that's exciting. Halloween is on Tuesday. That is exciting. We don't have any plans, but that's okay. I hope you have fun plans. And yes, I hope you eat lots of candy and you have a safe Halloween. I was thinking if I needed a very quick put together costume, I'd probably actually go as a mime, because I got a couple of like black and white striped shirts recently. Like this is one of them, and I have black jeans, and I could very easily do like mime makeup. So maybe that's very like super easy, but if I needed a costume, I know I could do it. I could pull it together. I got it covered. It's always good, even if you don't have plans, to have a backup costume that you can go to that you know you can do very easily and quickly. So, plus, who doesn't love wearing fun makeup for Halloween, or like any kind of costume? Anyway, that's irrelevant to the podcast in general, but it does have to do with Halloween. So yes, I do hope you have fun Halloween plans. And once Halloween is over, that means Thanksgiving is just right around the corner, which means, yes, I'm already listening to Christmas music, and no, I'm not ashamed about that because I love Christmas music. It's just so much fun. How can you not want to listen to it? It's so nice. But that is just my personal preference. So yeah, I guess that's all that I have to chat to you about. I hope you've had a wonderful week, and I hope you continue to have a wonderful weekend and a very happy and safe Halloween on Tuesday. Like I said, if I don't see you guys next week, I do apologize. There are older episodes if you'd like to go and watch them, but there might be an episode next week. I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you in the loop. Don't worry. Follow me on Instagram because I'll definitely be posting about it there. So, yes. So yeah, so we do have a road trip this coming weekend, and which means more knitting time and maybe knitting in the dark time. So I need to figure out the whole honey cowl situation and if I can do it without looking at it, and if so, I hope to make a lot of progress on it because that would be amazing. Gotta get those old whips off those needles because goodness knows there's so many more things waiting to be put on those needles that are already being used. So we need to free up those needles so you can knit more things and have more whips, and it's a continuous cycle. Oh, the joys of knitting. Anyway, super random. On that note, I guess I may or may not talk to you guys next week, and I'll see you later. Bye!